Hi, I'm Cliff, and this is my garage. And today I'm converting my traditional ceiling mount garage door opener to a side mount jack shaft system. Hey, welcome back to the garage. And if this is your first time joining me, thanks for dropping by. So, I've decided I need to convert my garage door opener. I've had for the last 10 years the typical overhead garage door opener that mounts to the ceiling, and it's been fine. It's worked great. It's a Chamberlain, and I've been perfectly happy with it, except that it gets in my way. And like when I'm trying to carry a board through or a piece of plywood or just really anything, I tend to run into it or into the bar that goes between it and the garage door, that where the cable runs and the trolley that hooks onto the garage door. So what I've decided to do, oh, and the other reason is that I've bought a two-post car lift that I'm going to install here in the garage. And I've only got a 10-foot ceiling, so I need to have as much headroom as I can. And keeping the ceiling mount garage door opener would mean giving up about 1.5 feet of lifting height. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take out the old ceiling mount unit, and I'm going to go over to a side mount that mounts on the wall. I think it's called a jack shaft unit by some people, but jack shaft, side mount, wall mount, they all mean the same thing. Oh, this is kind of heavy. Now, what you have on the garage door is you have that torsion bar, that pipe that runs along the top of it that has the springs that spring loads it, and the cables. It has the pulleys and the cables that run to the bottom of the door. And it's designed to just help you lift the door. The spring tension pulls up on the door, and then your ceiling mount garage door opener pulls on the top of the door, and it doesn't have to pull so hard because the spring-loaded torsion bar is pulling up on the bottom of it. Well, what this does is it hooks directly onto the torsion bar and turns it. So you don't, instead of pulling on the door, it just turns the torsion bar, which turns the pulleys, which pulls up on the bottom of the door instead and lifts it out of the way. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. This should be interesting. I've never installed anything like this. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so step one is to make sure your door is balanced. Since the overhead is not going to be providing pulling power, you need to make sure that your spring tension is right. And the way Chamberlain said to do that is to first you disconnect your garage door opener carriage, so now the door is free, and you bring it up halfway. And if it stays there, it's balanced. Okay, it has a correct amount of tension because it's not moving. If I move it down here, okay, so, yep, looks good. It doesn't go up on its own. All right, so we're all set. So we're going to close the garage door again, and I'm going to move the carriage using the remote all the way back to the opener so it's completely out of the way. Now I'm going to disconnect the old this arm that connects to the belt. I'm going to get this off the door. 2 bolts holding on. Naturally, there are 2 different size bolts. Tell you, I would love to see someone one day invent a method of marking sockets that's clearly and easily readable. Okay, why is this not turning? Has this got a nut on the other side of it? Oh my goodness, I think it does How in the world? Oh, okay. I forgot. This is a C-shaped channel. There is a nut on the back. Oops. And there goes the washer. That's okay. And this should just, yep, slide back out of my way. By the way, if you found that the door was not balanced correctly, you would have to adjust the tension on these springs here, and you do it by getting a couple of rods. And you know what? Let me just go get them. I'll show you. Okay, so I just happen to have these around. My dad had them. I don't know. They're just a couple of what appear to be stainless steel rods. There are holes in these brackets, and you adjust the tension by first getting the rod in place and then loosening a couple of set screws, and then you either turn it and tighten the spring or loosen the spring, and you just work these. You push one up, then you put the next one in, turn that up, put the next one in, just like that, or go the other way. If you do that, be really careful, because if you slip, these rods go flying, the spring, it's a scary situation. Trust me, I've been there. Okay, there you can see where the lift is going to mount. I think the biggest difficulty I'm going to have today is just getting the camera at an angle where you can see what I'm doing. But you can see the end of the jack shaft poking out there, and that is what's going to have the drive is actually going to grab onto with a coupling. I'm going to have to reroute that sensor. Oh, actually, I'd take that sensor wire completely out, or at least move it, because I just reuse the same wire. There's no point in snaking another wire through there. And yeah, let's start working on getting that thing in there. Okay, first step, prep the opener by mounting this. We're putting on this mounting bracket, which honestly doesn't seem very substantial, nor do these screws. I guess it's probably going to be up to the task. I was just expecting something a little more robust. All right, then we take the collar, and I believe it's only goes on one way. Yes, there's like it's a step in there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this hole is larger than this hole. So this goes on here. You put down the set screws. It's kind of weird they don't have a flat here for those set screws to land on. Let's see, let's take these out so they're not in my way. And I'm going to turn this by hand. All right, looking forward on this, I can see this is not smart. I'm going to put this thing up here, and the set screws are going to be in the back. So, rotate this. We'll do this a little more smarter. Okay, I wish you guys could see the crazy rig I've got set up so you can get a view of this. The camera is actually hooked to a ball head, which is connected to a bogan clamp, which is hanging off of a rafter. I'm going to slide this onto the jack shaft. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. It kind of hangs there on its own. Oh, and these screws are not going to be as hard to get to as I thought. In fact, if I have difficulty tightening them, I really should have put them on the top, because there's room up here. All right, well, if you put one in, you know the route to go. All right. And, okay. guess I'll tighten this up. I don't have any square drives like sockets, but this 1/2-inch nut driver seems to work pretty good. And what's weird is that the 1/2-inch 1/2-inch socket does not fit it. I don't quite get that one. All right. I think I'll still be able to reach this with a wrench. Hopefully I'll remember I'm setting my tools up here and not be looking for them and find them several years from now. Okay. All right, this bracket was going to be all the way out. All right, well that's fine, because that way I can pull this up, get some room. I know exactly where it's going to go. Got to go get a drill, put in a pilot hole, and then I'll be able to fasten that. Okay, I've got the, I put the standard Jacobs keyless chuck on my Festool drill. Okay, take that off, put on the quick chuck, and I just dropped the screw that goes in. Oh my goodness. All right, I've retrieved the bolt now. Oops, switch this back over to screw mode. Put it on high torque. Okay, nice and solid. Okay, next step is to wire in the emergency release, or not wire it in, but attach a handle for it. Here it is right here. This is a little different from over our ceiling mount lifts. In the ceiling mount, you pull a cable like this, and it unhooks the door arm from the trolley that goes back and forth on the rail. In this case, this, you pull it, and it decouples the drive mechanism. When you pull it again, it recouples it. It's got a nice handy little ring here. Just pull it down. I'm going to leave it at about probably about 4 feet off the floor. Tie it off just with a double knot. And make sure I'm cutting the right one, not the one with the handle. And I'll come back with a lighter later on and melt that in so it doesn't continue fraying. Now, the system comes with this electric lock unit. And what's supposed to happen is you mount it like this just above one of the wheels. And then when it locks, it pushes that pin out and it blocks the wheel from going up. So I don't really get the point of this, because the opener itself won't turn, and so you cannot lift up the door anyway. The opener itself is the lock. Maybe this is a secondary backup. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not going to bother installing it. And the system also comes with this cable slack detector. And what this does is you mount it on the wall, and then this goes over the cable, the lift cable. And so as long as the cable is taut, it holds this roller out and I guess either opens or closes the signal to the unit. But then if the wire goes slack, which would happen if the door hits something on the way down, the wires would go slack, this would drop down and would let the lift know that, hey, I've hit something, something's gone wrong. The lift will stop and reverse and reopen the door. So that's what's next to be put in. Okay, so well, that was a pain in the butt. We finally got it installed. You can see how it works. It sits on the the cable there. And if the cable goes slack, it'll fop in and signal the system that something is wrong. I had to, let's see, I'm going to have to pull back and refocus. I had to install some more blocking because the surface it's mounted to has to be absolutely level with the rest of the unit. I wired in the control panel for the new opener in exactly the same place where I had the old opener before. And it's kind of nice because it used the same mounting holes. But the biggest thing is I was able to take advantage of wiring that I already had in place for both of the garage door openers that were here before. And all I had to do is, connect it to the old wires. Then I have to reroute the wire up in the ceiling, which is going to be pretty simple, down to the new location, and it'll be fine. I don't have to run new wire. I certainly couldn't get new wires through here, and this way I don't have to try and run wires up the wall. It's already hidden, so it worked out quite nicely. One thing I really like about the new remote is that the learn button for the system is right here in the control panel. On the old one, if I wanted to teach the rolling code system to like a new car with a built-in remote for a garage door opener, I'd have to climb up on a ladder all the way to the ceiling on the unit and then push the learn button up there. Here, this is going to be much nicer having it down at someplace that's easy to access. Another thing I like, I put the control panels over by the entry door. For one thing, because you can come in and you can immediately hit the button if you want to open up a garage door, but mainly the remote controls, not the road controls, the motion sensors pick up the door opening and immediately turn on the lights. So that's nice. Okay, it's all done. What was left was just a lot of really tedious installation of wires. On each side there is a safety sensor. They talk to each other. Those wires had to be run up and around to the control unit. And then also, let's see, one thing. The instruction manual states very emphatically that you must have the receiver side of the sensors. There's a sender and a receiver. The receiver side cannot have sunshine shining directly on it. However, it completely fails to identify which one is the receiver. So, if you run up against it, you can see there's two little LEDs that light up, but if you just look at them in light, you can see which one is red, which one is amber and which one is green. So remember, it's the side that is never in the sun. Another issue I found was the little sensor that detects slack in the cable. It doesn't work right, or it works fine. The problem is, just in the normal operation of the door, when it starts to go down, each side goes slack for a second or so as the door comes off the top rails. And so it falsely triggers every single time. I don't know what to do about that because I can't change the behavior of the door. But what I found was the reason for the sensing the slack in the cable is that the assumption is you've hit something and the cable goes slack. Well, as an experiment, I disabled the slack sensor and stuck something in the doorway for it to hit. And as soon as it hit it, it felt it, backed off, and went back up. So I honestly don't see any reason for the slack sensor because the unit itself, just like any other garage door unit, senses when it's pushing and the door isn't moving. So at this point, I've just taken a piece of plywood and I've screwed it in place to simply hold the slack sensor open until I can get with Chamberlain and figure out what am I supposed to do about this. Okay, so it's in. It's working. I don't think I ran across any other issues or problems. I just didn't see the point of videoing a bunch of running little tiny wires and sticking them into, oh, wait a minute, that's one other thing. man, these little ports where you're supposed to push in the button and slide in the wire and it's going to grab it, they are really poorly designed. I mean, I had a very hard time. You had to push on it really hard to the point where I thought I was going to break it. And even then, it was hard to get the wire in there. So that's a definite thumbs down. Chamberlain, you need to look at those things and figure out a better way to do that. Okay, I think that's it. So hopefully you found this video helpful. You found something that was informative to you. If you're trying to install one of these or really any garage door, some of this information would have helped. Regardless, please go down there, find that thumbs up button, click on it, and give this video a like. It helps me out a lot with YouTube. And also subscribe. That way, if you're subscribed and you clicked on the little bell for notifications and turn notifications on, you'll get notified every time I post new content from here in Cliff's Garage. See you next time.